quoting Joel McCauer, last year he opened up the conference, Compostmodern conference, by saying that sustainability is a little bit like teenage sex. Everybody says they're doing it, but nobody really is, and those who are doing it are not doing it very well.
We shoulder our way into the room and we just kind of roll a green hand grenade out into the middle of the floor, and it goes off, and sometimes different things happen from that. But we see sustainability as something that belongs. There's a sustainable component of everything.
Conferences and celebrations and music and art and creativity and design and exchange of ideas and exchange of community is the highest form of community activity.
This event is a great annual event now that's supported by the Center for Sustainable Design. And we have been really successful in getting all of the chapters to really create local events, very unique local events, but report back to sort of the home base of the AIGA Center for Sustainable Design.
Designers think that they're in the artifact business, but they're not. They're in the consequence business.
Design, to me, is problem solving, and above all, design is a willingness to surrender to the design journey and see where it takes you.
It's around design and sustainability, and it's an interdisciplinary conference. And for me personally, I am probably only an interdisciplinary designer because I've just jumped from a lot of different, across a lot of different fields. Chasing after sustainable design at a lot of different scales. So I'm fascinated by how we solve problems across disciplines.
I was at Compostmodern 2008, and when I was sitting there listening to the speakers last year, Project H was 13 days old. So I was sitting there just blown away by some of the speakers, and so it was an honor for me to be one of the speakers this year.
Really, to make people give a shit, that's basically it.
This is a multidisciplinary conference. It's probably not as multidisciplinary as we would hope. And the whole idea of mixing people with different backgrounds and different skills and different concerns is really important, especially in the context of sustainability, because you can't get anywhere without everyone in the pie. There's a famous quote that says, you can't be part of the solution unless you're part of the problem. And what it means is that if you're not in there as an influencer or a problem maker, then you're not in a position to make change towards a solution either. If you're outside the system, you don't have any way of influencing the system very easily.
We think of sustainability as being something that's vibrant and alive and reaching out, and the truth is, for most of America, they have no idea. They're just trying to eat and have a decent place to live.
The aphorism that the more you know, the more scared you are is absolutely true. And I've now done I've looked at the math and the science of climate change in detail and the way we use energy. And once you know all of that, it sort of becomes unconscionable to work on anything else when you can sort of see how the future could play out. Now, no one knows exactly how it will play out, but you can predict it will be fairly awkward for humanity unless we do a pretty major course correction.
Talking about trying to crack some of the more wicked problems that we've got, and it's very, very complex issues. And so there's always going to be that tension between people sort of recognizing, I'm a designer and my livelihood is at stake if given the state of the economy, and yet we've had some amazing speakers who are very inspirational and who are really talking about real stuff.
To bring people together around these issues and provide a forum for people to get inspired. This is a topic for which there's universal interest, but a lot of people don't really know exactly what to do with that, and they're looking for places to channel that. So we simultaneously get people all fired up, and then we also try to find ways and methods for them to sort of channel that energy at things that they can actually do practically and can actually fold into their personal and professional lives.
I like to shake things up. I think that where design needs to go and where sustainability needs to go and where business needs to go is to be shaken up, and shaken up from a bunch of different perspectives. We need to see things in new ways. We need to frame things in new ways. We need new models. We're not going to solve anything in the paradigm that it was created. We need new paradigms so that we can see new solutions.
As a society, we need to say, all right, we understand the science, we understand that we have to set a target, and then we can work backwards from that. And that really fundamentally changes how you look at everything, how to design consumer products. What is a quality of life in that type of world? How do we design that quality of life while satisfying the constraints of the planet and the resource limits?
I'm hopeful we can get people to come to things like this so they can actually be exposed to new ways of thinking and to be reminded that we're in a big hurry.
Conferences are far too much about talking and business cards, and every conference is going to be that way, but I think the really special ones are the ones where you're just like itching in your seat to get out and go do something. And so that's definitely what I got out of Compostmodern and a few other conferences last year, is just the absolute inspiration to go and do something like the next day and not 3 months out.
Stop consuming. Don't buy shit. Don't buy anything.
Sustainability will save design, not just the other way around. In other words, designers will contribute to sustainable issues, but sustainability will save design in the sense that it's a brand new, not really, but it's a brand new in the sense of being taken seriously, constraint for designers to work against.
We could really do with a dose of people who would feel very uncomfortable at this conference. I think we could bring in a lot more engineers and folks who don't necessarily speak the same language.
And this year was interesting because I feel like the tone was so much more urgent. And I don't know if it's the moment that they described that we're in, the best of times, worst of times, that Joel said. I think where last year I felt it was a learning experience, this year I really felt more inspired to take action.
I think this is a really great conference for a lot of reasons, but one of them is that people really want to do better. They want to design better. They want to make the world a better place.
I think we really need everyone on our team, and that means to a certain extent that you, as a designer, will have to learn how to speak to people who don't speak your language.
I think it's a great conference, and I think things like this are really advance the cause, not just in an airy-fairy way, but the most important thing that happens today may actually be two people in the lobby who meet that start a business that helps a lot of people in 2 years, and maybe we never even know that it had anything to do with Compostmodern.
There's so much more we could do.
If we frame climate change and energy use as an aesthetic problem or as a design problem, I think it can be a really positive one, because then it's a question about what is the quality of life I want to live and how do I live that in a good way, or in a way that doesn't use so much energy.
What am I supposed to do? The client wants this package. Right? I can't say no, and my argument is like, well, you kind of have to say no. But I wouldn't use the word no. I would say, well, that's really interesting that that's what you think you hired me to do, but look at this, right? This is like so much better. It's going to make you so much more money. It's going to extend your audience. It represents a whole brand new line of business. It's sustainable. It's amazing. And by the way, everybody will love you for doing this. So your brand, in addition to the corporate social responsibility element, this is all great. And then they say, well, wow, it's a good thing I hired you.
This year, the Compostmodern production has been really the most rewarding collaboration of my career.
You don't have to know the answers to start having the conversation. You got to get out there, you got to jump into it. We're totally making this up as we go along, as a society, as a culture. There's a lot of figuring out to do, but we can't wait to figure it out. It's something that we've got to go running and jumping into it with everything we got. It's a full court press.